Let me say that I'm very impressed to see so many women in one room thinking about how we break the mold and get more women involved in the sector dominated by men. And today, I want to encourage you to continue breaking the mold. Break the mold for the future of our children and our children's children. But I want you to know that it will not be easy. You know, we talk about bashing the glass ceiling, and every time, it doesn't matter which country or which continent you're in, nobody, when they talk about bashing the glass ceiling, extends the metaphor of what happens when you break glass with your hand. Just imagine, have you ever tried that? Glass is glass. Some of it will scratch you. Well, and if you're human, there'll be blood. And if you have a body like mine, it's not always easy when blood comes out. It's painful. And of course, you've got to work on making sure that it doesn't come out forever. Nobody talks about that process. So I want you to know that the song that everyone sings about women bashing the glass ceiling, women getting into areas that are traditionally not for women, getting into spaces, into boardrooms, where they end up being the only women, that's not an easy process because you're bashing the glass ceiling. But that's not my task today, to talk about what happens. If you want to talk about that, I'm open. By the way, how much time do I have? 50. Can you let me know when I'm left with 15? The questions will be after the 50 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's 50 plus 10 to 15 questions.
Great. I want you to let me know just when I'm left with 15 because, you know, some of us are gifted in talking. I can talk the whole day. So that's not my script, but I wanted to throw it in there because it's something that we don't talk about. And that's something that I'm busy at the moment writing about because it's an important aspect of bashing the glass ceiling. But I said when she started, the accolades that you see on the internet are not flattering. They're not flattering because, in fact, if truth be told, anyone can get them. Anyone. They don't necessarily represent the greatest human strength. Am I not proud of them? Of course I am. But here's something that I'm more proud about. So I want you to imagine all of that you read on the internet that's positive, not the one that needs my lawyers to get in, and my lawyers are still fighting, right? And then consider the fact that on the 1st of November, I'll be 58 years old. I know. I know. I wanted to come in high heels so that I can do that better. But I mean, you chose the room up the stairs. And so I went for my all-stars. But you catch my drift, right? Yeah, I don't always do all-stars. So I want you to keep those things in mind. And here's the way, perhaps, that's flattering for me. Mamokgethi Phakeng, a.k.a. Deputy Mother, who summited Mount Kilimanjaro in July 2023, is a keynote speaker of the day. I think that would have been enough, because the other stuff you can Google. But why? That's because I'm very proud of my achievement of summiting Kilimanjaro. And I'll explain why. But most importantly, I would have been satisfied with that introduction because this is but one of the many examples of how I choose to break the mold or to break the glass ceiling in this life. And you may ask yourself, what's the big deal about Kilimanjaro? Why is he proud of it? I mean, it's a simple little mountain. How is it an example of breaking the mold? Remember I said, keep the other two things in your mind. All my achievements, the doctorates and the honoraries and the whatever, and all the awards and the whatever, and the 58. But here's the thing. Mount Kilimanjaro is a dormant volcano located in the Kilimanjaro region of Tanzania at 5,900 meters above sea level. It is the highest freestanding mountain above sea level in the world. And of course, the highest mountain in Africa. But of course, I can see you're not impressed. But here's the thing. Some people try to climb Mount Kilimanjaro and they die. They come back as corpses. Some people don't get there. In fact, there are 4 summits, and the top summit is Uhuru. And yours truly made it to Uhuru, climbing with the team, where she was the oldest. And 2 things that people die of when they climb Mount Kilimanjaro are altitude sickness. You may not understand when someone says altitude sickness. This is not the small little thing when the plane gets off and you vomit, no. Oxygen levels reduce, go down the higher you go, tremendously. And that's why, even if it's just 36 kilometers to the top, we take 4 days. We only summit on day number 4, so that your body can acclimatize to the less and less oxygen. So some people's bodies can't cope with that. But the second thing why people die on Mount Kilimanjaro, come back as corpses, is that it is so cold, particularly in the last 10 kilometers. It's so cold that, in fact, your body temperature can go to the lowest level that is not allowed to get to, that are humanly, you cannot survive them if it goes that low. And that's with everything. I mean, you wear 5 layers and layers of gloves, whatever, and your fingers can still freeze and your toes can still freeze, and you've got to move them all the time, and your water in the bladder that you're carrying in the pipe can freeze, and you've got to learn strategies to keep it running, because you need the water as you go up. So it's not so easy. And so you're probably wondering, why go up Kilimanjaro, Gethi? Why go up at 57? You've got a PhD from Wits. I've got to say that, these days PhDs are... It doesn't come from overseas. And that one I worked for. And then there's the other 2 that they gave me because I was doing amazing work, okay? The one from Bristol University in the UK and the other one from University of Ottawa in Canada. But you can say, you've got all these things. Why? What's your problem? Why do you want to do this? And I want to tell you 3 things why I climbed Kilimanjaro. Of course, it's bashing the glass ceiling. I mean, bashing the glass ceiling is as simple as when we get there. I mean, all the guides that were working with us, I mean, they've got to carry your duffel bag whilst you carry your backpack, carrying everything that you need for the day. It's all men. These men work for a company, of course, that's owned by a woman. And that day I said to her, are you going with us? She said, oh, no, she's Tanzanian. She lives in Kilimanjaro, not far, not around. And she said, I've only been there once. I'm not going back. Mainly, it's men who go. But the first reason I went was to support the Caring for Girls initiative. Of course, I went with the Trek for Mandela. An estimated 30% of South African girls do not attend school while they are on their period because they do not have sanitary products. And this pains me deeply. Somewhat, I'm glad that I only got to menstruate very late, at second year varsity. Yeah, I know that. I'm always behind. Yeah, I know. Always behind in everything, but I get that. Right. So I raised over 100,000 rands to contribute to the alleviation of this challenge of period poverty, because I strongly believe no girl should miss the opportunity to get an education because of nature. And of course, many of us are here. We want to bash the glass ceiling for women to get into mining. We should think about those who come after us. And then what about them? Maybe one of them is stuck somewhere who needs to get in. The second reason I did this was to inspire women of our continent to dream big by showing them that we are also capable of achieving that which the patriarchal script reserved only for men. I wanted to break the mold and crush the idea that women are vulnerable and should not do A, B, or C. And thirdly, I knew climbing Kilimanjaro was no child's play. Let me tell you this, climbing Kilimanjaro is not about how fit you are. Fit is something that everyone can do. It's getting the qualifications, getting whatever, that stuff. What you need to get to the top is more than fitness. Fitness will not get you to the top. It's willpower. Every minute, I was asking myself as we go up, why am I doing this? If you do not have a big why, you will not get to the top because it gets tougher and tougher as you go up. So it's about willpower. Now, in many ways, bashing the glass ceiling in disciplines and careers that are traditionally for men, in many ways it's about willpower. If you think about it, if you're really qualified, you can go and do something. If you are a young woman who went to vets and did your mining engineering degree and now you're working at a mining environment and it's really tough, in fact, you can get out. You can end up in the financial sector doing something. You can end up being CEO of some company, that's not mining at all. There are many people who could be in the mining sector that are not. It's similar to many areas. I studied mathematics all of my life. I was the only or one of the few, whether as a woman or whether as a black person, wherever I went throughout my life. My final year pure mathematics major class, I was the only one with boys. And that was the beginning of my life of being a minority everywhere. And of course, I realized I could have chosen something else and not chosen, for example, the route to be an executive in university. It would have been easier. I could have been remained a rated scientist and be celebrated. But you choose this route, you need willpower to make it to the top. And so I chose to go to Kilimanjaro because it's consistent with my motto. I don't know what your motto is, but as we go along today, I want you to think about what is it that informs everything that you do. What is it? And also think about what is success for you. I was doing a recording for someone this morning who asked me to talk about success, to talk about procrastination, and then they asked me the last question to say, are you successful? And I said, I am not. Because success, you never get there. What you have is the big goal where you want to get to. And what you enjoy is the journey and the little successes that you keep going to. So you've got to you have a big purpose. And for me, my purpose is to give hope. And I cannot give hope unless I'm willing to do the hard things. And that's my motto. I do hard things. Otherwise, there's no giving hope. And giving hope is about giving hope to people who look like me. Either way, whether because they're women, whether because they're small little people all their lives, or whether because they're black, whether because they are poor, they started school under a tree like me, but to give them hope that it can be done. And I went on to talk more about what does it mean. Of course, I reached the pinnacle of my career in academia, but that wasn't success. I'm not done. As long as you're alive, you're not done. The minute you arrive at success, that's when mediocrity sets in. That's my definition. You never get there. What you enjoy are the little successes as you get closer and closer to your goal. My goal remains to give hope. So what happens when you reach the pinnacle of your academic career and you still have energy, enthusiasm, you're still normal? What do? You explore, your other talents. You do the most with the knowledge and experience that you have accomplished. And that's what I'm doing. But my focus remains to give hope to the hopeless. Whether the hopeless or those who are not given a chance are women or the poor or the middle and low income families, I continue to do those today. I digress. I do hard things. What is your motto? So I convinced myself with that motto that I was going to go to Kilimanjaro. And by the way, my leg is still giving me a problem. It was giving me a problem. It started giving me a problem in 2020. I was diagnosed with functional neurological disorder. You can Google it. I won't talk about it, but it's a psychosomatic disease. Physicians could not solve it. Psychiatrists, so I have a team of a physician and neurologist and a psychiatrist who worked with me, and you know, I was at the top universities, so all of them top. I'm still working with them, we're still meeting. They're not getting it. I'm now doing acupuncture because this is not a biological situation. But I went to Kilimanjaro despite that. I said, I'm going. Because my physician said to me, we did everything. All the scans they did, there's nothing wrong. The neurologist said, biologically, you are fine. This is not a physiological problem. This is psychosomatic. This is something that comes in because of stress, right? If you're in a stressful situation, that's what happens. Your body keeps the trauma in some parts, and then it manifests in terms of as symptoms of a particular disease. And some people get treated for stroke, for whatever, when it's got nothing to do with that. And so for me, I thought I'll be on wheelchair by the end of 2021. And I kept talking about the wheelchair, and you know how I go about it. I was like, the day I go onto wheelchair, it's gonna be the best wheelchair in the world, and all of you will want to be on wheelchair because I'm gonna make it look so cool. But that's how I roll, you know. So I kept doing that because I felt like for sure I'll be on wheelchair, because sometimes you wake up, it's time to wake up, and I feel that if I allow this pain, I won't be able to get out of bed. And then I say, I am gonna get out, and I went. So I went to Kilimanjaro with that pain. I said, I am gonna get up to the top with the pain, with the age, with the no need to do it. And that's willpower, what got me there. But I'm here to talk about accountability, leadership 101. And here's the thing, you can never be a leader in a really challenging environment, especially as a woman, if you do not have willpower. Especially in South Africa today. Because actually, putting your hand up for leadership in South Africa today, it's like you putting your hand up to go onto the queue to be slaughtered. But we do need people in leadership positions, and we need women, because if we don't, and we are all scared, then our children and our children's children will never go in there. And I choose to talk about accountability because the one thing that I have found challenging in my leadership journey as a woman is holding people accountable as a small, little black woman. That's one thing. That's the biggest challenge. Either I'm scared to do it, or if I do it, there's problems, right? And so I had to decide, okay, this is a leadership position. Some people will like it, some people will not like it. I'm working for the greater good. I'm here to serve the company, the institution, the organization, and I'm gonna keep doing that, even though it means 20% or 30% of the people don't like it, and they wish I don't wake up tomorrow. And I think today in South Africa, we need people who take positions of leadership to do that. who will say, I'm taking this leadership position and I'm not going to fold. Doesn't matter what the pressure, to do this, to do that, to give this one that, and this favor, that favor, so that they can protect me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it for the good of my country, whether they're at a municipality or they are at a school or wherever they are. I wish we can have more people like that. And the reason why it feels like you're getting onto the queue to be slaughtered is because human beings are hardwired to not be accountable. And that's why accountability matters. I mean, but we need leadership. But it's tough because human beings are hardwired not to be accountable. Many people don't. Children don't want to be accountable. From very young, it's not so easy. In our sinful nature as humans, we are full of pride, arrogance, and a quest for independence. I mean, you can just look at the state of the world. Human beings are hardwired not to be accountable. But in fact, we have to be accountable to one another. If we don't, our world will not survive. And in fact, being accountable makes us stronger. And if you're a leader, it's even more important. There's a saying that says, as iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. But let's look a little bit at what is accountability. What does it mean to be accountable? And in my view, being accountable, it's about being responsible for decisions made, actions taken, and assignments completed. And this is one thing that makes people fight. Whether at home, when my teenagers are fighting with me, it's because I'm holding accountable. I'm holding them accountable. Why did you go to Cubana? You said you don't drink, but why did you go to Cubana? Tell me what you do at Cubana when you have an exam in 2 days. But Ma, you don't understand. I'm 23 now. No, I didn't say you're not 23. And I say to them, you're staying at my house. You don't even pay tax. I just want to know, why did you go to Cubana? If you don't want me to hold you accountable, then you must go and have your own house and your own keys. Then you can go in and out as you like. No, but Ma, no. I'm not fighting. I just want to know so that I know what I'm dealing with. And that's just at home. It's just not easy. How much more at work when you have a small little woman with pink lipstick like me saying to you, Dr. Naidu, we agreed that you submit this report yesterday. And you are telling me now that you haven't finished it yet. How much more? Dr. Naidu is 52, but of course he looks 72. And the 58-year-old me with pink lipstick is asking him these questions. Dr. Naidu has never seen that in his life. The first thing that comes to Dr. Naidu's head, when he looks at me, the image of someone like me that sat with him for many years is the woman who cleaned after him. Now this one is even smaller. The one who cleaned after him was a little bigger even. So sometimes he would listen. But this one is smaller. She's got lipstick. She looks like she just came out of high school. What comes to Dr. Naidu's head is anger. What is she telling me? I've been here longer than her even. The fact that the small little black woman is actually older than Dr. Naidu, more qualified than Dr. Naidu, more experienced, more knowledgeable than Dr. Naidu, and in fact has the position to hold Dr. Naidu accountable. It's not the first thing that comes through. And many, many women go through that, and if you want a leadership route, it is going to roll that way. Well, and the simple way to do this is you can say, well, Dr. Naidu is a racist. Well, no. Dr. Naidu happens to have grown up in a world of that kind of hierarchy. It's not like he decided to be racist against this small little black woman. Dr. Naidu has become accustomed. This is how the world works. And that's why he's finding it a problem. And bashing that glass ceiling means dealing with the people like Dr. Naidu. And the issue is, what does he do? Well, some Dr. Naidu might just walk out of the office and bang the door. Some Dr. Naidu might just keep quiet because he's reserved and say nothing until he gets to his office and write you an email that says, I do not appreciate how you talk to me. Another Dr. Naidu might decide to go to the chairman of the board and say, this woman is ill-treating us. Actually, I'm going to leave because of her. Whether it's right or wrong is neither here nor there. But the three Dr. Naidus are showing dissatisfaction and they react to it. And that's because being held accountable is not easy at all. It's not easy at all. We have agreed. You have to deliver. I'm your line manager, and I expect you to deliver. But if we do not do that, there will be no delivery. And my hypothesis is the reason why we have not much delivery in this country in the public sector is because people are not held accountable. Well, let me put that differently. People do not want to be held accountable. So that rather everybody is happy with me than me hold them accountable, and next time they will do this to me or they will do that to me. So I want to keep the peace. I want the team to be together. If you put me in the municipality, I always say, why is the president not trying me? Give me the most problematic municipality to run. All of them will resign. And I want the good people. But you know what? If I did that, you just need two of them to say, she's ill-treating us, she's bullying us. And of course, the fickle group of people we run to that. Nobody asks, what was happening? So that we can say, of course, she was supposed to be harder, even. Nobody asks that in this country. But everybody wants delivery. And my view is, you can never have excellence in our delivery. Whether teachers teaching in schools, whether it's municipalities, whatever it is, that's why our state-owned entities are falling apart. You see, in corporate, the CEO is the boss. Actually, I work with corporates now, and I look at what CEOs are doing, I'm like, wow. And those people, I'm a softie, yeah. CEOs want delivery. Otherwise, there will be no job for you or many people. We've got to make money. We've got to do things that take the company forward. If you can't do them, please, we're going to start a process to get rid of you. It's just that simple. Because the deliverables are simple. In the public sector, there are lots of rules. You hold people accountable. You want to discipline them so that they can go because they are holding us behind. You are a bully. I've never seen any CEO who was accused of being a bully. I work with a lot of them now. In fact, it was interesting, what happened. I don't know, many of you will remember my interview with JJ, my very famous interview with JJ. My very famous interview with JJ. I mean, there could have been many. I'm looking at the time that we have to talk. There's lots to talk about. JJ is busy telling me about rumors, hearsay, what, useless. I mean, I could have sat there and said, JJ, you're a professor. Like, please, talk like a professor. But I said, JJ, because JJ and I are very good friends. So I said what I said. The recording is online. And I stand by it. If it happens again, I will do it again. Because JJ needed to be called to order. You must do your job properly. It doesn't matter whether you're on TV or not. But the first person, of course, Eusebius McKaiser did a podcast. If many of you followed that conversation, may his soul rest in peace. Eusebius McKaiser said, the professor made a big mistake by calling JJ to order. She exposed herself. In fact, she calls herself a change maker. Nobody is going to call her for change making, because who wants that? The people who will love her are the people who always loved her, and that's the poor. But the following day, and JJ was really trying to say, white people will never want to talk to her ever again. Only black people who are poor and uneducated, who don't know anything, will talk to her. That's what Eusebius was trying to say. But the following day, the first person who called me was CEO, a white male CEO of a huge company, I won't say what, who said to me, Professor Phakeng, I'm so-and-so, I got your number from so-and-so, who says they know you very well, is one of my executives, and I want you to come and talk to my executive team. And I said, why do you want me to talk to your executive team? And for what? And he said, I have problems in my executive team. Look, it's diverse. And he gives me the racial diversity, the gender diversity, and indeed, it's very diverse. And he says, but I have problems, ma'am. And I said, so why me? He said, I saw the way you dealt with JJ, I think you can deal with, you will be the only person. He said to me, I think you will be the only person who will get my executive, the team, to listen. I said, are you sure? What is it that you saw me do it? He said, the way you just dealt with him softly but matter-of-factly. And he says, and I looked at you sitting on that chair, your feet were not even touching the ground. And I said, that's the woman for me. And of course, I did go. And so far, so good. Where's Eusebius? Of course, he went to the Lord. May he rest in peace. I knew he wasn't correct. But that's because many people struggle with accountability and holding people accountable, and how do you do that? But accountability is, in fact, a two-way street. The person delegating authority has to be clear on the positive and the negative consequences of success or failure. If you do this, that. So we are in the team, and I'm saying to you, we need to do this, we need to do it by this time. If we don't do this, the university will lose money because the submissions are this or whatever. If you don't deliver, of course, I must give you a hard time, even if it means disciplining you. I'm not being petty. You are costing us. Of course, it's the public sector. Of course, it's a university. We don't always just look at the bottom line. But without the money, we cannot run and we cannot produce excellence. And that's why I put my foot down. So without accountability, we cannot do that. We cannot have excellence at all. In my view, these two things go together. And just calling people names, when there's that accountability conversation, doesn't actually help. And just because you've never been held accountable by a woman doesn't. So we as women need to know. That's why I said It's about willpower. It's going to be hard. You want to be in leadership in the mining sector? It's going to be hard. Because someone like you is not expected to be in a leadership position. And of course, leadership is contextual. It depends what the state of the country and the organization is when you take leadership. As I said, things were much better in 1996. We are still in the kumbaya, very nice, we loved each other, and we gave people, people were willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. Now people are not willing to do that. People are not willing to do that. So even when I say I have a PhD, I do understand when people don't trust me. I got to UCT, people started by saying my PhD is fake. And part of me said, I understand. I look like Zuma. Yes. And so it was like, wow, even though I studied here, so you're like, yeah, of course, people like me are seen as crooks in this environment. And so I've got to prove. And then, of course, I said, actually, the university is the one that's wrong. How do they hire somebody? In fact, it's not only the university. The whole system is messed up. Because I am a B-rated scientist, and you apply, you send your credentials, your publications, it goes for international review, and then you become a rated scientist. How does this happen? With a fake PhD that needs to be investigated. And then, of course, I said to the Vice Chancellor of the time, I was deputy at that time, you have to apologize. You've got to write to the university and tell them. And actually, be embarrassed or apologize. Because actually it means the university didn't do its job. But we're living in this environment. And so don't ever think that the fact that you're a woman will never be seen. It will always be seen. Am I saying don't go for it? Please go for it, because we need more people to go for it. We need more people to go for it. Keep bashing that glass ceiling. If you can't handle the blood, that's fine. Maybe you shift, someone else come, but we have to keep pushing it. And with time, we'll see progress. In fact, there's already progress. I bet you 35 years ago, there were no probably conferences of women in mining. Maybe because there weren't enough women, maybe because it wouldn't have gained favor. So we need more of you. I know I'm now left with 5 minutes, and I want you to ask me questions. 10 minutes for questions. And I want to conclude by saying, without accountability, there can be no excellence. I'm sure many of you have read Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. And Jim Collins says, good is the enemy of great. I like great. Good is the enemy of great. And he continues to say, we don't have great governments. Let me replace the word great with excellent. We don't have excellent governments because we've got good governments. We don't have excellent schools because we've got good schools. They function. There's load shedding, but they gave you hours, and you hope that at 8:30, electricity will be back. It's not great, it's not excellent, but it's good. So you complain, but it's okay, we keep going. We don't have excellent churches because we've got good churches. We don't have excellent leaders. In fact, excellent leaders are a problem because we've got good leaders who are willing to sit with what's unacceptable so that they are liked. And good keeps us going. At least the company is not going under yet. And so we've got to choose. And my view is that we've got the parastatals that are happening with all the challenges that we have because we don't have great leadership. Because great leadership is a much bigger task. It requires more than qualifications, more than experience, more than connections. it needs your willpower, your willingness to be hated, to be pushed around, but all in the service of the institution or the organization or the company. And if more of us do it, perhaps we normalize it. At the moment, it is not normal yet. Good is what's normal. And so you hear mediocre people. I mean, I read some of the things that are written by people whose CVs I know. They're great. I'm like, wow, this is really, our country is really in trouble. And then when an excellent person comes, they will point to personality, whatever, because they can't challenge the work. Now, please go for it. And as you go for it, make sure that you've got all the things that are required. In fact, when it comes to qualification and experience and achievements, make sure that you've got them more than the minimum required. That's certainly what I did. And I'll close on this, that when I became VC of UCT, I said, I don't want a driver. I don't want an inauguration. I don't want to cook. I don't want to fly business class on university money. I don't want that. And they said, why? I said, it's wasting university money. I mean, this was in the middle of Fees Must Fall. How do you use money that way on the Vice Chancellor? I can drive, and I have children who can drive. And if you're tired, I'll take Uber X. Because the car that I'm driving in doesn't make me important. It doesn't make me look good or powerful. I'm powerful, I'm good, I'm amazing without the Porsche car, without the driver. And I'm the only Vice Chancellor in this country, probably in the world, who did not have an inauguration. And I said, that money that's budgeted, it was in 2018, I said, and the chair of council was angry, the chair of the board, you have to. I said, no, calm down. I'll sign the book at a graduation ceremony. It's the same thing. Gracia Machel will come and put the gown on me at a graduation ceremony. So in fact, delay this thing until December during graduation. Take the money, we bail out students who completed their courses 3 years ago, and they're still sitting at home. They can't graduate, they don't have a certificate because they owe. Some of them owe 30,000 rand, some of them 80, some of them 100. Take that 2 million, please. Just let's bail out the number that we can. If we can make 100, that's better. And let them graduate on that day when Gracia Machel is here, and I will be the guest speaker at graduation, because inaugural ceremonies are actually very problematic. People come at an inauguration, and they talk about how amazing you are, the new Vice Chancellor coming into office. I said, come on, I know that. Why? Yes, call me whatever you want. I know I'm amazing. I don't need speeches to tell me that. And I don't need the university to spend 1, 2, 3, 4 million telling me I'm amazing. I know that. Let's use it for good use. Did anything break? Nothing. I flew economy throughout my tenure. Every time I'm in business, it was because it was somebody else who invited me, and they choose to buy me business, and some of them bought first class. That's fine. Not my budget that I'm under my watch. Never. And of course, what it meant is that when we come from meetings from elsewhere, on the continent in particular, we get into the flight. All the VCs sit in business, and the Vice Chancellor of the top university on the continent goes to Lala class. But I don't mind, because hey man, I'll still get their attention, even in Lala class, because I'm amazing like that. And we've got to be content with that. Thank you very much. Willing to take questions.
I would also like to add that if you're this height, economy class is not a problem.